which has been done in partnership with a total of 21 sponsors in Bulawayo. The competition was open to 148 schools, all the 148 schools in Bulawayo, including government, private, and all forms of schools. Coming from the corporate world, it's amazing what the number one winner stands to win. Cash prize of 1,500, a bursary of 1,500 as well. I could go on and on. This inaugural event, has had a powerful impact in our community, and we look forward to the finals, but this is the start of many, many competitions to come.
Keyona TV, the one, the only.
A pleasant day to you and welcome to our news bulletin here on Keyona TV. We're broadcasting to you live on Azam TV channel 398. I'm Constance Mzilikazi. And in our first story, Economist sheds light on the detrimental effects of sanctions on girls, emphasizing the multifaceted challenges they face in underprivileged communities. Development economist Nkululeko Mpofu underscores the profound repercussions of economic sanctions on access to basic necessities for girls, particularly in obtaining sanitary wear. Moreover, Mpofu draws attention to the socio-economic pressures induced by sanctions as impoverished families are compelled to make difficult choices. He elucidates how financial constraints push girls towards early marriages and contribute to the prevalence of early pregnancies, perpetuating a cycle for hardship and limited opportunities. In light of these challenges, Mpofu emphasizes the crucial role of government intervention in providing mentorship, education, and support to mitigate the impact of sanctions on girls' lives. And in our next story, the debilitating effects of vesicovaginal fistula, known as VVF, among postpartum women has prompted a senior doctor at Mpilo Hospital in Bulawayo to issue a fervent plea for government intervention, stressing the critical need for increased nursing support to assist those affected by this distressing condition. A senior doctor at Mpilo Hospital, Dr. Mishek Ruwende, called on the Ministry of Health and Childcare to spearhead campaigns aimed at educating communities about VVF and its implications, as without timely assistance, women may face dire consequences. Dr. Ruwende highlighted that VVF is a severe childbirth-related injury which often leads to devastating consequences for women, including social stigmatization and marital strain due to uncontrollable urine leakage. According to the World Health Organization, each year 2 million women worldwide are affected by obstetric fistula. Moving on to our next story, Inspiring Women, Men and Children organization has taken a proactive step to curb the increase in gender-based violence resulting from unemployment by offering development skills to empower individuals, especially women, and promote independence within communities. In an interview with Keyona TV crew, Xolelwa Sibanda said high levels of unemployment in the community is a key contributor to gender-based violence, particularly towards women, as most women are dependent on their husbands, which, however, give men a leeway to abuse women. Therefore, the organization aims at maintaining zero tolerance of GBV. Sibanda said empowerment programs may reduce intimate partner violence by improving autonomy, increasing bargaining power, and reducing socio-economic stress. The Inspire Women, Men and Children provides basic cookery, beading and handbags making courses and many more, so as to ensure that women, men and girls are independent, as they do not have to rely on their abusive partners. In more news, Mzilikazi primary school students are diving into the world of technology with a collaborative effort from STEM and robotics experiences, liquid telecommunications and PFN solar systems. Through a captivating robotics workshop, young minds are exploring science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM to enhance their knowledge and creativity. The workshop provided a unique platform for these budding innovators to explore the fascinating intersection of STEM concepts, igniting their passion for problem solving and critical thinking. Speaking in an interview with Keyona TV, the founder of Science STEM Robotics Experiences, Nkosana Masuku, said the organization felt the need to bridge a gap and empower local students by exposing them to the world of artificial intelligence. Keyona TV spoke with the Mzilikazi Primary School administration, teachers and students representative Maureen Lilo, who said students and teachers were equally enthusiastic about the workshop's potential to transform their teaching methods and engage students in new and innovative ways. The Mzilikazi Primary School STEM and Robotics Workshop is a shining example of how collaborative partnerships can empower minds to embrace the future. And recently, the government has promised to partner with schools to provide resources and training for coding and robotics. One school, Charleston Trust Primary School, has already begun teaching coding to grade 1 students, and other schools are expected to follow suit. Moving to our next story, 2 Bulawayo men, Edmo Bibi, aged 46, and Farai Pambukani, aged 26, both residing in Mganwini, have been arrested on charges of stock theft. The Zimbabwe Republic Police in Bulawayo have since arrested the accused following a tip-off prompting the police to set up a roadblock where the suspects were intercepted while transporting the cattle with no documentation. The provincial police spokesperson, Inspector Abed Nico Ncube, said the 2 men were spotted in the area of Insizia near Eskodini and tried to stop them, but they fled towards Bulawayo. The informant then proceeded to follow them and called the Bulawayo Central Police, and the cattle were recovered, and the 2 men are facing charges of theft. Last year in October, the police recovered 14 cattle at a homestead in John Deep village in Gwanda. And with that story, we go on a short commercial break. When we come back, we take a look at our regional and international news.
Can you think the names of any kind of drinks? Ingwe will run my hair. Kokolam fin go my hair.
Exeni, emini, ntambama, yawafuna, eskolo, emsebenzini, emchoveni, yawavula my hair. Twist top, remove the foil. Take a sip and enjoy the flow. Nana kahole kakdage. Yeguje mbotlele na nyegulambe.
Yingwebo Royal Mahel. You won a Mahel hair.
Now available in banana flavor.
Rotary Club Matopo presents the Spelling Bee every Monday and Wednesday at 3 p.m. on Keyona TV.
We have had a very exciting time at the Rotary Club of Matopo's Spelling Bee, which has been done in partnership with a total of 21 sponsors in Bulawayo. The competition was open to 148 schools, all the 148 schools in Bulawayo, including government, private, and all forms of schools. Coming from the corporate world, it's amazing what the number 1 winner stands to win. Cash prize of 1,500, a bursary of 1,500 as well. I could go on and on. This inaugural event has had a powerful impact in our community. And we look forward to the finals, but this is the start of many, many competitions to come.
Keyona TV, the one, the only.
Welcome back to our news bulletin here on Keyona TV. And now regional news. Last year, Somali farmers faced the dual threat of drought and flooding. VOA's Jamal Ahmed Usman spoke with farmers who share their experiences of how extreme climate conditions are taking a toll.
Here, in Kalundi village in the Middle Shabelle region, about 90 kilometers north of Somalia's capital Mogadishu, farmer Ismail Hassan is among many who say they felt the impact of climate change.
You may not break even due to weather changes. When ready to cultivate, you might lack water for the seeds due to drought, or excess water can break riverbanks during rain seasons, posing a challenge.
Another farmer, Mude Osman, now displaced in Jowar district, says too much and too little water have forced him to leave his farm twice.
Our harvest is affected by climate change, facing floods and droughts each year. When water submerges, we must relocate. The same occurs during the drought season.
Jowar district farmer Jamalo Ahmed Safar also says the drought has impacted farming in this area.
For the past 4 years, we've endured persistent droughts, and each time we saw our crops, the river runs dry.
Heavy rains and floods affected more than 1.2 million people late last year, according to the United Nations, following years of drought that caused near-famine conditions. Activists like Abdul Qadir Abba Noor say climate extremes are causing food scarcity in the country.
In Somalia, we need real change and action to address climate change issues which affected the whole country, especially for the farmers and for all other sectors.
Farmers and climate activists like Abba Noor worry about long-term decreases in food production and the impacts on the country as climate extremes become more common. For Jamal Osman in Mogadishu, Somalia, Arash Arbasadi, VOA News.
And in our international news, Pakistan is set to hold general elections on February 8, and a military-backed crackdown on former Prime Minister Imran Khan's party has cast doubts on the fairness of these polls. As VOA's Pakistan Bureau Chief Sarah Zaman reports, some worry elections may not bring the political stability needed to pull this action out of some 240 million people out of its deep economic crisis.
More than 128 million Pakistanis are registered to vote in the February 8 general elections. Many are struggling to make ends meet.
The first problem they should solve is inflation. Utility bills are really high. Inflation is backbreaking.
Prices are nearly 30% higher than a year ago. Slow economic growth and a crushing external debt burden have pushed millions into poverty. A $3 billion lifeline that the International Monetary Fund threw to Pakistan last July runs out in March.
Pakistan has faced problems, but not to this extent. We have almost stopped short of bankruptcy. So therefore, it's very important that as a result of this election, a government should come which is able to handle the economic challenges.
A Gallup opinion poll released this week shows 70% Pakistanis lack trust in elections. One of the country's most popular political figures, former Prime Minister Imran Khan, is disqualified from running for office. Just days before the polls, court sentenced the jail leader to years in prison for corruption, mishandling state secrets, and illicit marriage. Khan rejects the charges as politically motivated. Deprived of its iconic election symbol, the bat, his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, or PTI, has struggled to campaign freely in public and online. Much of its top leadership is either in jail or in hiding, as the party is facing a crackdown since Khan's supporters stormed military facilities last year in May to protest his arrest.
A lot of people are supporting that party. So how will that play out? After the election, whether a government will be able to be formed and whether there will be some political stability, or because of this reason that a party has been deprived of its symbol, there will be some protest, etc. after the election.
Three-time former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is the frontrunner. Known for launching mega development projects, Sharif never completed a full term in office.
It's hard to tell who the right person is. I am still looking for the right candidate to vote for, the right person for our future, for the well-being of our children.
Whoever wins will walk a tightrope with Pakistan's military, the country's most powerful institution. Sara Zaman, VOA News, Lahore, Pakistan.
In more news, India has deployed at least 10 warships in the Arabian Sea to provide security to merchant ships in the waters east of the Red Sea, where drone attacks by Houthi rebels and a resurgence in piracy are posing a challenge. As Anjana Parisha reports, India's large naval development and deployment is seen as part of the country's ambition to be seen as a rising power.
From helping douse a fire on a Marshall Islands flagged tanker that was struck by a missile fired by Houthi rebels to rescuing vessels hijacked by pirates, Indian Navy warships have been providing security to merchant ships in the Arabian Sea. India has not joined the US-led task force for the Red Sea that is launching strikes against Iran-backed Houthi rebels, whose missile and drone attacks on commercial ships have disrupted global trade. But since December, India has deployed about 10 warships that include guided missile cruisers as well as surveillance aircraft to police waters east of the Red Sea.
I think the scale is quite unprecedented, and I think in some ways this represents a confidence that Indian Navy has in its own abilities. And I think the requirement to be seen as a benevolent regional player that is not simply looking after its own interests, but also the interests of the global common.
The Navy has helped at least 2 ships struck by missiles and drones, according to Indian officials. But amid a resurgence in piracy, much of its focus has been on conducting anti-piracy patrols. Last week, it helped rescue 2 Iranian-flagged fishing vessels hijacked by pirates and released their crew members taken as hostages. Commissioning a hydrographic survey ship, Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said the naval forces aim to protect both trade and regional security.
Our Navy has become so strong that we have become the first responder in terms of security in the Indian Ocean and Indian Pacific region. I say that with confidence.
While border disputes with China and Pakistan in the Himalayas had long kept India's focus on the army, the country has also built up its naval prowess in recent decades, acquiring more advanced ships, submarines and aircraft.
We are one of the biggest force here, and we know that the world's trade is moving through these routes, and we normally, go with the freedom of seas, freedom of navigation. That is why this deployment has happened, to scan the area, sanitize the area.
Projecting power in the Indian Ocean, which India calls its backyard, signals the country's aspirations to be counted as a responsible emerging power.
Increasingly, that seems to be the answer that India is providing. That look, we are willing to work with the world towards collective ends. We don't, we are not a, we don't want to. We are not a disruptor to the global order, regional order. We want to be a player, a responsible stakeholder. So naturally, if there is a crisis happening around your periphery, India has to step up to the plate and make its own contribution.
Indian officials hope their deployment will prevent the threats to merchant vessels spilling beyond the Red Sea. Anjana Pasricha, VOA News, New Delhi.
So naturally, if there is a crisis happening around your periphery, India has to step up to the plate and make its own contribution.
Indian officials hope their deployment will prevent the threats to merchant vessels spilling beyond the Red Sea. Anjana Pasricha, VOA News, New Delhi.
Indian Ocean and Indian Pacific region. I say that with confidence.
While border disputes with China and Pakistan in the Himalayas had long kept India's focus on the army, the country has also built up its naval prowess in recent decades, acquiring more advanced.
Well, that story concludes our regional and international news, and we now move on to sport news. In our sport news, all is set for the Bulawayo Rugby League Under-20 tournament's fourth round scheduled to kick off this Saturday on the 10th of February 2024. Speaking to Keyona TV crew, George Tafazo Hlachwai explained that the fixtures were drawn using a seeding system based on last year's log standings. This weekend's games are as follows: Plumtree Queens versus Panthers, Old Miltonians versus Bulldogs, Plumtree Buffaloes versus Panthers, and Highlanders versus CBC Hornets. Week 3 results of the tournament go as follow. The game between Montrose and Bulldogs was cancelled, and the Panthers defeated Plumtree Queens 20-0, while Bulawayo Elephants lost to Panthers 8-29, and the Hornets beat Bulldogs 52-0. And lastly, Old Miltonians defeated Plumtree Buffaloes 20-0. And in our next story, the Bulawayo Basketball Association is gearing up to host the Week 13 League event this Saturday, held on the 10th of February at the Kanyisile Sports Club. This weekend's fixtures are as follows: the Lakers Mzansi versus Cash the Myang, and the Southern Mavericks versus Nast Phoenix Women's Basketball, while the City Knights go ahead on with Gwanda Rebels Men's Basketball, and the Nast B versus St. Bernard's Giants B Men's Basketball versus the Angels and Lakers Mzansi. Francis Dube, the Secretary General of the association, stated in an interview with Keyona TV that the winners of the League, Elite League and Women's Division will qualify for the National Club Championship, while the winners of the Men's B League will be promoted to the Elite Division. And in our last story, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have qualified for the final of the AFCON 2023 Championship tournament after defeating South Africa's Bafana Bafana 4-2 in a penalty shootout. And they will head on with Ivory Coast on Sunday for the finale. And that story concludes our news bulletin here on Keyona TV. My name is Constance Mazivisa. Do enjoy the rest of your programming.
Can you think? That name.